in wellness failure, it's obviously you're not well.
Yes, you're not well.
You're feeling sick.
But failure also kind of means it's you attempted to do something.
Yes.
And about that, and you also didn't necessarily get the results you wanted.
If it's not cleared up by that deadline or significantly improved, I need to take a different step.
When your wellness fails, it's Hunt4Wellness, episode number 9. Wellness, episode number 9. I am John Hunt along with
Kristi Hunt.
And it is so great to, we're getting a lot of positive feedback about this podcast, 9 episodes in, and it's really exciting, isn't it?
It is.
Because one of the goals of this podcast is to, go alongside you. We're all on a journey. We're all on a hunt for good wellness. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. And we're getting some good feedback and talking to people we haven't talked to for a long time. Old friends. It's awesome.
Good.
So spread the word. By the way, you can go and subscribe to this podcast so it automatically gets sent to you every week at iTunes, at Google Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts. And of course, over on YouTube, you can get the video version. All you need to do is click on that little bell, which will subscribe you to the show. And every time a new one comes out, you'll get notified. It is awesome. So.
Yes.
That's all positive, but what happens when your wellness fails?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about today. But I think what would be good to start out with is just to kind of identify what does failure mean? Because,
specifically for wellness?
Yeah. I mean, let's give some examples or something.
Or just failure? Well, in wellness failure, it's obviously you're not well.
Yes, you're not well.
You're feeling sick.
But failure also kind of means it's you attempted to do something.
Yes.
And about that, and you also didn't necessarily get the results you wanted.
Right. So, like for me, I'm focusing on health. I want to be healthy. I want my family to be healthy. And so when that is not going well, when I'm not succeeding in that, I feel really bad.
You feel like a failure, right?
I feel like a failure.
So now let's go back, I don't know how many years ago it was, when we were down at the Edison Ford. Was it Edison Ford Museum in... it
definitely was Edison, and Ford is next door.
Okay.
So I think it was the Edison Museum.
Yeah, Thomas Edison, he also, this is down in Florida. We were out down there. I guess he wintered down there too and didn't like the cold weather up there in New York or New Jersey, wherever he was from. So what did we learn about failure from Thomas Edison? The guy who invented the light bulb, so you can actually see what we're doing here?
Well, basically he failed over 700 times, but he didn't look at it like that.
Oh.
He looked at it like, I know 700 some ways not to make a light bulb.
Yes. Not to make a light bulb. No.
What a great way to look at it.
Yeah, it is, and so sometimes there is this mental game that goes along with it. Like, have you ever heard the phrase, failure is not an option? I don't know, was that Churchill or, I don't know,
well,
getting my history probably
He probably
mixed up.
did say that.
Yeah, well, I think he did World War II. I mean, they're kind of cornered and, failure is not an option.
Right.
So, but, sometimes we have, we don't want to get too much over into the motivational thinking side, even though that does play into it a little bit, right? But let's talk about, when you're in first of all, people like to set out to do something, right? Mm-hmm. They like to set a health goal, or maybe something happens. Like in your case, you had that issue with your skin. Maybe talk a little bit about how, maybe when you first kind of recognized it and thought, okay, I think I know how to deal with this, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
I started using various oils and lotions and things that I thought would make it better, and it didn't.
It didn't get better.
It didn't get better, and it went on and on and on.
Yes. And when you do a podcast talking about natural ways of doing things, and you do those things, and sometimes it doesn't turn out, does it?
Right.
You know,
it wasn't working. And so I was talking to you,
yep,
sharing my concerns and my frustrations and sadness.
Yeah, you were really, well, because no one wants to feel like a failure.
Right.
I mean, first of all, you get really demotivated. You're down on yourself,
I'm sure
right?
Maybe not everybody feels this way about health because health is my passion.
Right.
And I'm a nurse practitioner. I should know everything, shouldn't I?
You should always be healthy, and you should never be sick.
Right.
Right. You know the inside scoop. Come on.
Right. So it was very demotivating, very discouraging for me.
Yeah.
So, but I needed some help, and I needed your help, and you gave it to me.
Yeah, and my help was basically, I think in the evening I said, if this is not better by tomorrow, you need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody else, okay? Maybe someone else has got a different idea.
Please go.
Yes,
go.
You've got to go.
Today, go.
Go. Yeah, that was in the morning. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, overnight.
It's time to go.
It's still bad.
It's time to go.
It's time to go.
And I did go get some help. I went to another health practitioner, got some help, and I couldn't believe how much better I felt.
Yeah.
And it
cleared
really
up pretty quickly, didn't it?
It did. It cleared up quickly. I took another family member with me to the appointment. I just needed some support because I was feeling really, really low.
Yeah.
And so it resolved, and I thought, oh my gosh, why did I feel so bad?
Right.
But
because now you've reached your goal of being
getting it improved. But we often, when our health is poor, our emotions are low. So we feel discouraged, down when our health isn't good.
Yes. So I think what's important, what we can maybe learn about that piece of it, is that you tried what you thought was right.
Yes.
You did that for a period of time.
Yes.
But then you let yourself get to a point where it was like, I'm just feeling so bad, I don't know what to do, right?
Right.
Whereas maybe if you would have said, I'm going to try this for whatever it is, 3 days, 5 days, 7 days. If this doesn't get better, I gotta reevaluate. It's kind of like in goal setting. You set a goal, but you also kind of say, I want to accomplish it by this time. You set a deadline or a date, right?
Yes, that is important. When you have a challenge, a health challenge that you're dealing with, and it can be, we're talking bad or it feels bad.
Right, it does feel bad.
Yeah, that you decide for yourself, hey, I'm going to give this till tomorrow, or I'm going to give this 2 weeks, or whatever. It depends upon the situation.
Yeah.
But a reasonable time. And if it's not cleared up by that deadline or significantly improved, I need to take a different step.
Right. Well, when I work with some companies and doing business planning and marketing planning, you do set those evaluation dates. Maybe it's every 3 months, maybe it's, and another thing you set a date for is when you've reached whatever it is you wanted to reach, you kind of do a look back and evaluate.
Yes.
How did it go? Do we learn anything from that?
Yes.
What would we do differently next time? And,
yes,
that's kind of works. Because actually in our situation, the tables kind of turned, didn't it?
Yes.
Shortly thereafter, I don't know how long it was between the two events, I got pretty sick.
Yes.
Pneumonia. Pneumonia is not the greatest thing to deal with. And of course it
wasn't clear right away.
And then of course, my first step is going to you. What do I do?
Right. Right.
And you had some good ideas, but I think also you saw that after a few days of those ideas, things weren't getting any better. And I was starting to feel like, terrible. I don't know what's going to happen to me.
But the first time I said, you know what, I think it's time to go see a health practitioner, you're like, no.
Yeah, we've got the tools here.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So I gave him
wellness.
another day or so, and I thought, now is the time. We are going now. I don't care what you say. We're going in.
And I was feeling so bad. I think you made the call.
Yeah, I made the call. I took him there, and
shortly thereafter, things were on the right road to recovery.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
But I think another important thing is talk to somebody.
Yes.
And have somebody be an advocate for you, especially when you're sick. You're not thinking right. Even your thinking can get off.
We also hear a lot about people who say, I'm not sick. I'm not, they're terrible. They're coughing. Nothing's wrong with me. That's because they don't want to share that with anybody. They stuff it, right?
Yeah.
And if you stuff it, we know from our other podcasts on emotions and things like that.
That's not good.
That's negative to your health too. And that actually piles on and makes things worse. So I think definitely getting someone in, and they don't have to be a health practitioner.
Well, it can be a various, right, yeah.
That's someone just to lend an ear to, like, let them know, hey, I am not really feeling that well, and I don't know what to do. I tried, I thought this is what I was going to do, and I thought I was going to get better.
So I'd say first share with a person that is like-minded and an advocate for you, that could be an advocate for you, that is just supportive of you.
Yes.
First share like I shared with you.
Right.
And talk it over. What's going on? And if they don't live with you, can you just check in on me tomorrow? Or, can you check back with me? Things like that.
The more you get...
Ask them for prayer.
Yeah.
Please pray for me. I'm having a problem in this area. Will you please pray? Yeah,
get people enrolled because as it gets worse with you, your decision making also kind of goes like, I don't know what to do, and I'm feeling like a failure here. It's not going well. Right. But I think then with that person, probably the next step is to, just like Edison, he knew over 700 ways to fail. There's probably another way to deal with your situation that you don't know.
Right. There's always more than one way.
There's always more than one option. In fact, a lot of the people that you deal with on a weekly basis, they come in and their first words, I've tried everything. And, they haven't necessarily tried everything. And we know people who have tried a lot, but there's always another.
There's always something else.
There's always something else.
Yes.
I'm going to just take a moment to plug the Connect call, which is 15-minute call. Go over to Hunt4Wellness.com. You'll see it right there, blue button, hit Connect. And what that allows you to do, first of all, is get our resources. We have a members area there where you can get access to a lot of things. But most importantly, that 15-minute discovery call, which is you call, you discuss your biggest health challenge. It might be a situation where I've tried everything. I need one more idea. Mm-hmm. And, that's something you deal with quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So that would be a great thing to do. So you can go over to Hunt4Wellness.com and just click on the Connect with us. You can do it on the podcast page too. Now, if you're listening on the audio podcast, there's nothing you can press a button, but you can go over to Hunt4Wellness.com. Mm-hmm. It's pretty obvious right there. So, So when people go to that next step or, what is it that, sometimes people feel like they're, if I go there, then I'm really...
If I go get help,
then I'm kind of admitting that I'm a failure. But that's really, you can't look at failure that way, can you?
Well, we shouldn't look at our health that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of not the right thinking.
Yeah.
And I think another way to look at things is, what can I learn from this situation?
Yes.
And what happened? How did my skin get so bad? Yeah. And when I looked back, I saw there was a lot of emotional stress related to a big issue, and I didn't really process it well. Right. I mean, I think I stuffed a lot of it, and this is how it came out.
Yeah, well, and stress, like we said before, is a very common thing to help draw you down. I know before I got sick.
Yeah.
A lot of stressful situations going on, and it just weakens you a little bit.
Yeah, and so
to get attacked.
We do need to deal with the emotions,
yes.
and that goes back to dealing with our emotions, identifying the emotions, forgiving the people that are hurting us, and moving forward.
Yeah.
But journaling, talking it out, writing it out.
Right. I can't remember what the quote was. I'll probably mess this up, but it was like, failure is focusing on the past, but success is focusing on the future. And so, this is where maybe a little bit of the motivation comes in. We don't want to spend our time looking backwards. We want to look forwards, unless we look backwards to say, what did I learn?
Yes.
But not like, so a friend of mine, a golf professional, golf instructor would say, I said, what's the difference between the really good golfers and, the amateurs like me are trying to get my golf game up? And he said, really, it's pretty simple. Most of it's in your mind because they're all technically really good. But he said, one thing they do is, you very rarely see this, but once in a while you'll see a great player hit a bad shot. Now, he said what you typically don't see is a great player hit 2 bad shots in a row. But if you see, an amateur hits a bad shot, then you start talking, I'm terrible. I duffed that one. I topped it. My eyes were closed, whatever. And then, you're still thinking about that bad shot when you're shooting the next one. Then you shoot another bad shot because you're focusing on bad shots and not on, okay, now what do I need to do on this shot to recover from that last one? And I always thought that was pretty good advice.
Yeah. Focus on the next good thing.
Right.
That you can do.
Right. And, we, back in episode 4 of our podcast, we talked about setting health goals, wellness goals, and the 4 easy steps to do it. And so check that episode out because I think it's really important when you try to move forward, you do want to have some things in mind, like we talked about earlier. What's the date I want to try to do this by? Because if it's not working by then, I maybe need to try something else. Talk to somebody, go to another professional.
Yes.
I think you can also help with that in that discovery call as well.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Again, go over to Hunt4Wellness.com, click on the connect with us, and you'll get connected right to a calendar where you can go in the members area, click the calendar to set up that call. And it can be Skype, phone, text, in person if you're even, now, that things are a little looser. There are some in-person meetings too, but usually it's just a quick phone call to talk about what your biggest health or wellness goal is. And how do you move forward? And what's that next little step that you're going to take to achieve it? So, all right. Good episode. I'm not feeling like such a failure anymore. I hope you aren't either. And just remember that, when you reach a point, failure is not an option. You might feel that way, but there's always another way to move forward. And you want to look forward and move forward.
Yes.
And then join us next time for the next Hunt for Wellness.